Hello everyone, welcome to the PSP study course. We discussed in the last video section 1.1 planning input and data. Planning input and data consist of contract requirements, identification of stakeholders, as well as constructability methods. So our topic for today will be the first one, the first input in planning input and data, which is contract requirements. Contract requirements are considered the most important subject in the planning section. As a planning engineer or a scheduler, you should understand these requirements very well because it is essential and considered the base for the planning process. In order to be able to understand the topic very well, as usual, we will go through some important definitions related to our topic today, related to contract requirements. So let's start with the first definition, which is contract. What does the term contract refer to? As per the AACE International, contract is a legal agreement between two or more parties. The definition is very simple. It is a legal agreement between two or more parties. We will go back to this definition again in a couple of minutes. The second one is requirement. Requirement, as per the AACE International, is an established requisite characteristic of a product, process, or service. This is the first definition. The second one is a negotiated set of measurable customer wants and needs. So both definitions are simple. And to recap this, we can assume that the requirement refers to any stated needs by the customer. The third one is contract documents. And this is not a simple definition. Actually, understanding the contract documents is essential in regard to input and data to the planning development section or planning development process. So skip it right now and we will get back to it again after a couple of minutes. The contract, as we mentioned, is a legal agreement between two or more parties. And when it comes to project management, there are many types of contracts and there are many contract delivery methods. We have contract types and we have contract delivery methods. When we say contract types, we mean the contracting method. We mean in terms of the payment process between the client and the contractor. How the contractor will get paid by the owner or by the client. The contract delivery method means what the contractor is committed to delivering so the contractor can get paid. Here, contract types refer to how and contract delivery methods refer to what. What means the scope of the contract itself. Anyhow, there are many contract delivery methods based on contract nature. And here we will see the common delivery methods. The first and perhaps most common one is known as design, bid, build. The fundamental concept here in the design, bid, build, the project is fully designed before starting construction, before even the contractor itself is selected. In this delivery method, owners usually employ a lump sum fixed fee or lump sum unit price contract as the contracting method. And besides the design, bid, build project delivery method, this combination is used by the owners in order to get some assurance that the total project cost is a known quantity before the start of construction, as well as reducing the owner or client risk. Here in this diagram, the project design must be completed before the bid. And the bid processes must be completed before the start of construction. So it is design, then bid, then construction. This is what it called design, bid, build. Design fully completed in the first step, then bid processes full completed, second step, then third step, start construction, start building. So again, it is design and bid and then construction. The other project delivery method used on many projects is generally referred to as design build method. Generally, design build contracts require the design build contractor to complete the design based on the owner's design and then to construct based on that design, based on the owner's design. This doesn't mean the design must be completed first, then the contractor will start construction. Here, design build is possible, or let's say usually the construction starts after completing only a part of the design by the contractor. It is called the design build method. Design build method because the contractor in this method is responsible for completing the design based on the owner's design and then constructing it. Design build is also referred to by many other names, including the engineering, procurement, construction, EPC contract, fast track, flash track, or turnkey contract methods. There are many delivery methods follow the design build concept, but under different names. One of these, as we mentioned, is EPC contract, engineering, procurement, construction. EPC contract is also a design build. The concept of this delivery method is to shorten the time frame between the design and the construction process. So this will allow for a fast track or accelerate the project delivery, since the same team or the same contractor that designs the project will construct the project. So in this case, construction can start before the completion of the design. As we mentioned, in all design build methods, the contractor is responsible for completing the design based on the owner's design and then constructing it. So the same here in engineering, procurement, construction, EPC contract. The contractor is responsible for completing the design and construction as well. The third delivery method is generally referred to as indefinite quantity contract method. This delivery method also been referred to as task order contracting, work order contracting, or job order contracting delivery method. Under this method, the owner and contractor agree upon the prices of the work units. Work units like square meter, line meter, cubic meter, etc., etc. The owner and contractor agree upon these prices in the main contract framework, so they will have an opportunity to follow the same prices for any new project or for any new work orders. And this, of course, by following the same agreed upon prices. So there will be no need to negotiate the prices again or every time the owner wants to assign the contractor to perform a similar scope of work. Here, since work is performed on an agreed upon price, the scope can be developed as work proceeds. This means the owner can issue many work orders under the same contract because the owner and contractor agreed upon prices of the work units in the main contract, in the contract framework. As a result, the scope of each work order does not need to be fully known before starting the work. Accordingly, project delivery time can be minimized once the contractor is selected and terms negotiated, because there is no need also to design or bid for each work order or for each work assignment. Here in this method, the scope of work is similar and the prices are agreed upon, so only quantity would be variable for each work order. So just to recap this, there are three main contract delivery methods: design build, and work order or task order. An EPC contract delivery method is considered a type of design build method. All right, we need also to have a quick look at the contract types as well. And in this regard, we are going to discuss the main contract types. We have three contract types here. The first one is cost plus contracts. In cost plus contracts, the contractor agrees to provide the client with services and materials at actual total cost plus an agreed upon fee for these services. This generally we can say. These types of contracts are used when the scope of services to be provided is not well defined or it is not clear enough to be executed under the other contract types. There are four contract types under cost plus contracts, and all of them follow the same concept. The concept here is actual cost plus an agreed upon fee. So the first one is cost plus fixed fee. Here, the client will pay the cost as defined in the contract, and in addition to the total actual cost, the client will also pay a fixed amount to the contractor as the contractor's fee. So it is cost means total actual cost plus a fixed agreed upon amount. The second one is cost plus percentage fee. This is very similar to the first one. Here, the client will pay the total cost to the contractor plus an agreed upon percentage. Here, usually the percentage is calculated from the actual total cost. The third one is cost plus fixed sum. Here, the client will pay the cost as defined in the contract plus the contractor's fee. The contractor's fee, which is not to exceed the agreed upon sum. So here it is not open like the previous ones. In this method, the contractor's fees must not exceed the sum, the agreed upon sum. The benefit here, the contractor usually will be responsible for the risk if the cost of the work exceeds the sum limit, perhaps due to quality issues, poor management, and so on. The last one we have under the cost plus contracts is cost plus percentage burden and fee. This type of contract is generally used for engineering services, usually between governmental agencies and consultancy offices. In this contract, the client will pay the cost as defined in the contract plus a fee at a specified percentage of the labor cost. Labor here can be the consultancy team who provide the consultancy services to the governmental agency. All right, the second main contract type is fixed price contracts. There are four contract types under fixed price contracts. The first one is fixed price contracts lump sum, which is a common one. Here, in this type of contract, the contractor agrees to perform all services as specified by the contract for a fixed amount. The second one is pretty similar. Fixed price contracts, unit price. The contractor here will be paid at a fixed unit rate. So in fixed price contracts, lump sum, the project amount itself is fixed. Here, in fixed price contracts, unit price, the unit rate is fixed. So in fixed price contracts, unit price, only the unit rate would be known, we can say, because the final project amount depends on the quantity, and the quantity here will be calculated as per the work done by the contractor. So the final project amount can be known only at the end of the project. All right, the third fixed price contract is fixed price contracts target price. Here in this type of contract, the contractor agrees to perform all services as defined in the contract, but here the total cost will not exceed the agreed upon maximum amount. Usually, these types of contracts will contain a special share of saving between the client and the contractor. And this would be by providing incentives to the contractor to minimize costs below the maximum amount. The next one and the last one as well, fixed price contracts, bonus penalty. Here in this contract, simply the owner agrees to pay the contractor a bonus, usually a fixed amount or a fixed sum of money, for each day the project is completed ahead of schedule or below the specified total cost. And the same for the contractor. The contractor also agrees to pay the client or the owner a similar penalty for each day of completion after the scheduled date or over the specified cost. The contractor's penalty here will be specified by a maximum amount, like, for example, 5%, 10% of the specified project cost. The last thing we will say here, the penalty situation here is sometimes called liquidated damages. As you know, in many contracts, it is stated in this way. The third and perhaps the last main contract type we have today, time and materials contracts. Here in this type of contract, the client will pay for the direct labor hours at specified fixed hour rates or fixed unit rates. So it mainly depends on the rent concept, either for manpower or for the material as well. Now, let's explore more definitions which are related to our topic today, related to contract requirements. Here we have major milestones, which is the most significant milestones in the project's life or duration. Major milestones representing major accomplishments or decision points usually associated with the first breakdown level in the work breakdown structure. Here, I just want to say that do not mix between the major milestones and milestones in the scheduling process. Here in planning and contracting are major milestones, the most significant milestones in the project. And there in the scheduling process, the milestone represents activity with zero duration. It is zero duration activity or event, we can say. Next is substantial completion. The term substantially complete or substantially completed, when applied to any work, this means the work is almost done and perhaps it is ready to be utilized even before the final completion or the official completion, we can say. So the substantial completion is a work or a specified part of the work which has progressed to the point where, in the opinion of the engineer, as evidenced by the engineer's definitive certificate of substantial completion, it is sufficiently complete in accordance with the contract, so that the work or the specified part of the work can be utilized for its purpose. And in case there is no engineer's certificate issued, the substantial completion will be when the final payment is due in accordance with the general conditions. Next one is notice of award. Notice of award is a written notice of acceptance of the bid by the owner to a bidder. By this notice, by notice of award, the owner will inform the bidder. The bidder here means the expected contractor. The owner will inform the bidder that upon compliance with the conditions and within the time specified, the owner will sign and deliver the agreement. Specification is a detailed, exact statement of particulars, especially a statement prescribing materials, dimensions, and quality of the work for something to be built or procured or installed. Or we can say a document that prescribes the requirements with which the product or service has to conform. Next one is addenda. Addenda is a written or graphic issued before the date for the opening of bids. This written may clarify or modify the bidding documents by additions, deletions, clarifications, or corrections. It is very important definition. Always remember, it is issued before the date for the opening of bids. Here we have amendment, which is a modification of the contract by a subsequent agreement. This does not change the entire existing contract, but does add or modify the terms of the affected provisions or requirements in the contract. Notice to proceed, NTP. Notice to proceed or NTP is a formal notification after compliance with the conditions by the contractor from the owner to the contractor or from the owner to supplier, requesting the start of the work or defined phase of the work. And here as well, performance bond, a bond that is executed in connection with a contract and which guarantee the completion, performance, and fulfillment of all the work, conditions, and agreements contained in the contract. Here we have general terms and conditions, a part of a contract, purchase order, or a specification that is not specific to the particular transaction but applies to all transactions. And here as well, general definition of the legal relationships and responsibilities of the parties to the contract and how the contract is to be administrated. They are usually standard for a corporation and or project. The purpose of the general conditions is to determine the commercial terms of the contract. General conditions usually identify the roles and responsibilities of the contracting parties and even other third parties affected by the contract. Usually, the contract general conditions include some common items like responsibilities of the owner, responsibilities of the contractor, payment processes, insurance, and bonding requirements, as well as change order processes and perhaps dispute resolution processes as well. All right, the next one is supplementary conditions. It is a part of the contract documents which amends or supplements the general conditions. Or we can say it is an amendment to the general conditions. Supplementary conditions usually issued as a separate document to describe the unique conditions of the contract to a particular owner or to particular project. It is amendment to general conditions, so it does not change the entire existing general conditions, but does add or modify some new or unique items to a particular project. Next one is bid. Bid means to submit a price for services, a proposition either verbal or written for doing work and for supplying materials and or equipment. Bid means to submit, so it is an action of doing the effort. Bid sometimes also means that written priced offer in response to an invitation by the owner to provide services. Here also we have effective date of the agreement. Effective date of the agreement means the date indicated in the agreement on which it becomes effective. But if no such date is indicated, the date on which the agreement is signed and delivered by the last of the two parties to sign and deliver. This means, in case there is no stated effective date, the agreement signature date will act like effective date of the agreement or effective date of the contract. Next one is change management. Change management, formal process through which changes to the project plan are identified, reviewed, and approved. Here we can say change management is the process of formalizing the changes in the project either by rejecting or approval. Change management procedures also should be agreed upon in the contract, and then it will be further clarified in the change management plan and project management plan. Here also we have bidding documents. Before we discuss bidding documents, here we need to focus on the difference between bidding documents and contract documents. We didn't discuss the contract documents yet, but let's first understand the definition of the bidding documents. Bidding documents is the advertisement for bids, instructions to bidders, information available to bidders, bid form with all attachment and proposed contract documents. So the bidding documents are those documents provided by the owner to bidders so they can submit their proposals according to it. These documents can include instructions, information, attachments, and even proposed contract documents. Here we have two key points. First one, bidding documents are existed before the contract or before the agreement itself, because the bidding documents are existed in the bidding stage before the contractors submitting their proposals to the owner. Second point, bidding documents can also contain proposed contract documents like drawing, specifications, and general conditions. Now coming to the most important definition, most important one, contract documents. Contract documents contain all those definitions that we have discussed in this video. First of all, the agreement itself, addenda, notice of award, general conditions, bonds, supplementary conditions, specifications, drawings, amendment, modifications, and effective date of the agreement. So here we can say contract documents are those documents existed in the contract other than the agreement. Now I want to go back to the contract again, contract definition. Contract is a legal agreement between two or more parties. This is what we mentioned before, but to understand the difference between all of these, we can say that in an equation way. Here, contract equal the agreement plus contract documents. The contract will be equal to the agreement plus contract documents. All right, after we understood the contract documents. Now, let's go back to our subject today. The first input to the planning development process, contract requirements. So, in the planning development process, we need to know the contract requirements. And to do that, we need to check the contract documents, because contract requirements are included in the contract documents. So this is the first point here. Second point, the primary focus of the project team during the planning phase is to understand the contract documents. All project team members, not only project control team, all of them to know and understand contract documents, contract terms, conditions, requirements, and their relationship to the work. Third one is the term contract documents applies equally as well to projects in the draft contract stage or to an endeavor that has yet to evolve to a contract if a contract should result. Here we can say, for example, before we have contract documents, if a contract should result, we should have bidding documents. As we mentioned, the bidding documents can contain proposed contract documents. So in this case, the term contract documents can be applied also in the draft contract stage before signing the contract. The last one is a simple one. The term contract documents should be used carefully to serve its purpose without mixing with the other documents in the project. Yes, not all the documents in the project can be classified as contract documents. Here, always remember the contract is equal to the agreement plus contract documents. The contract is equal to the agreement plus contract documents. Again, have a look at this. The contract requirements are a part of the planning development input and data. The contract requirements represent the first input here in the planning input and data, and the second input is identification of stakeholders, and the last one is constructability methods. Next video, we will go through the second input, identification of stakeholders. Here, finally, we reached to today's discussion. In accordance with our topic today, contract requirements, and from your understanding, can you clarify whether the project management plan PMP is considered a part of the contract documents? The second one, can you clarify whether the project time schedule, project baseline is considered a part of the contract documents? As usual, you may answer these questions in the comments box. Thank you so much.